Good morning, Britain. How you doing? It's me. It's Graham Hughes. Sorry, my name isn't coming up like it should do when I do this little intro bit, but never mind. I'll sort that out at some point. Hi. I'm Graham Hughes. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. It is Tuesday, the 7th of October, 2025. Well done on making it this far. Big shout out to Billy Kershaw and Paula Thomas and Richard Grumpy Git and Diz and MH Carer and Haruhai, sorry. We've got Liam in the chat as well. Graham Haller is in there. Hello, other Graham. And hello, fellow Graham. Colin Baker in there. We've got Saz. Others. Listen, if you'd like to join our friends, Veg Pie, hi Veg Pie. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button like this. Bong. Okay, there you go. Click. And you can opine openly, fairly openly. Don't be a troll. Don't be mean. Don't be horrible. There's like 1,000 other places on the internet you can go and be horrible. Go over there and be horrible. Don't bother us. Hello, everyone's saying morning to each other, which is really nice. I love that in the chat. So today we're going to be talking, first of all, about the parasites, the people who are actually draining the wealth of this nation to fill their own coffers. So there you go. And I suppose there's two main stories I want to talk about today. One of which involves the Tories and their friends, who get contracts, like the VIP lane contract sort of thing. And the other is about Refug, who are Tories. They're just extra Tories. They're Uber Tories. They are the same bunch, went to the same school, have the same mentality. They just want to make money. They're just little grifters. There's horrible little nasty grifters who want to squeeze every single last dirty cent out of dirty penny out of this country and then piss off to Monaco or Switzerland or the Cayman Islands or some other tax-free haven where they can go and live out the rest of their squalid little life with their wives and mistresses. And while the country goes to shit. This is a tried and tested formula for Tories, right-wingers, for generations now. This is what they do. They screw the country for every fucking penny, and they never miss the opportunity to turn a crisis into cash. The first story is about the slumlord billionaire and his 180 million pound taxpayers' money that he has spent on asylum hotels, which it turns out, according to a report on the BBC this morning, are not really up to scratch. They're not. There's refugees going to like food banks and stuff because they're malnourished. So the BBC story, which I'm just repeating here, obviously allegedly, is Clearsprings Ready Homes, one of 3 asylum accommodation contractors, which made £187 million worth of profit since 2019. Its company founder, Graham King, is now a billionaire. He is the 154th richest Brit. He paid himself 183 million in dividends through a parent company. That money came from the taxpayer. It came from you and I to look after asylum seekers in hotels because Tories saw this as the least tax efficient way, of dealing with the influx of these Farage boats, the Boris wave of people coming from other countries to this country in irregular ways, caused by the Farage Johnson Brexit that they championed, and they thought, what's the least efficient way of dealing with this? Maybe we could have a returns agreement with France. Maybe we could set up an asylum centre in Calais, which wouldn't cost 180 million. If it did cost 180 million, oh my God, the tabloids will be up in arms. No, what we'll do is we'll give jobs to the boys. We'll give our fucking little mate here, a little twatty mate, right? This little bald-headed twat. We're gonna give him bald-headed twat. We're gonna give him 180 million of taxpayers' money to make sure that he looks after people in his hotels. And that will give the racists and the morons and the bigots and the people who didn't do very well at school. Do you know what the thing is, right? There's a lot of people who, you have to understand the mentality, right? They didn't do very well at school, but they turned out to be millionaires anyway. And more often than not, this is because they're fucking nepo babies, you know? Their daddy and their mummy was very rich. That's why they've got money. But they think that they're some kind of genius. In the same way that there's a whole cohort of people out there who believe that they are the Wolf of fucking Wall Street. Because what did you do? Well, I bought a house in 1973 for £2.50, and now it's worth £17.5 million. So, you know, what an investment, eh? What a canny investor I am. Yeah. And you're like, no, that's because the game was rigged by the Tories once they brought in buy-to-let mortgages in the mid-90s, and also was allowing people to buy their own council homes, which is fair enough if you're going to use the money that you get from them doing that to build more homes, which is not what the Tories did. There you go. So anyway, Graham King, now a billionaire, thanks to you, and thanks to, you know, the racists, and give them somewhere to go and say, oh, there's all asylum seekers in here. We need to stop this. This is a waste of public money. And I'm like, yes, it is a waste of public money. You've got a point there. Yeah. Not mostly because these people who are supposed to be being looked after clearly aren't being looked after in these hotels. So the Home Office contracts, right, for these asylum hotels, right, they ballooned from 4.5 billion with a B to 15 billion pounds under the Tories. 15 billion pounds, over 400 hotels across the country to keep asylum seekers in while they didn't process their claims for years, and they weren't allowed to work. There's asylum seekers saying that I can work. I'm a plumber. I'm an electrician. I'm a dentist. I'm a nuclear physicist. I'm a brain surgeon. I can work. And what do we have? We have the Tories going, no, you're not allowed to work. You can't work. We're going to put you in this hotel, and we're going to get the taxpayer to give loads of money to this one bloke, and he's going to look after you. So, they were cleared to profit more by using hotels instead of proper accommodation, because the contracts that the government gave to these slumlords incentivized the idea of putting people into hotels rather than bedsit or sheltered accommodation or whatever else options were there. 8 times profit margin, according to MP Graham Collar. But compared with looking after them properly, looking after people properly, while there are claims of slowly being processed, far too slowly. Meanwhile, refugees in these hotels have reported inedible, out-of-date food, dirty mattresses. There's a picture of it on the BBC website. It's horrible. Broken toilets, rationed toilet paper. 1 roll per week for 4 people. This is in conjunction with giving them shit food. I mean, that's fucking torturous, you know? Period products, rationed. 7 sanitary towels per period. Kids being fed diets that would have them see them be seen as being neglected if they were given the same food by their parents. They would be reported. Their parents would be reported to child services. But, you know, it's good enough for those asylum kids, eh? Shouldn't have run away in fear of their lives, I guess. And people, the stories of people boiling eggs in kettles for some protein. And this isn't an outlier. I mean, these asylum seekers get about a tenner a week. If they're getting food, they get about a tenner a week. And this isn't an outlier. This is the model. This is the plan. This is the plan. They've sat down. You know, I keep saying this, like the people that they put in front front and center, right, of these movements, these MAGA movements, and refuck and Brexit and all these fucking gobshites, right? That they appear thick as pig shit, right? The people behind them aren't. The people behind them are Machiavellian geniuses. They sit down and they go, how are we going to make loads of money for our mates, get a load of kickbacks, feather our nests, line our pockets, line our greasy little fucking politician pockets, and also outrage the population so much and drive fear into the hearts of the everyday people. That's so much that we'll always win elections. We'll just continue to win elections for the rest of time. And they do it, and they're so good at it. They are so good at it. Every fucking Union Jack held at half-mast at every fucking lamppost in the land, every St. George's cross is a sign that someone loves Nigel Farage. They love the aristocracy. They love being shat on by the trickle-down economics of this country. Please, for Sir Nigel, give us some more shit for us to eat. Like this disgusting human centipede that isn't even linked up because they don't have to eat our shit. They don't have to deal with us, the hoi polloi. And when they do, they spit the dummy out the pram. How dare you say I have to have the same bank account as just some ordinary Joe, screams Nigel Farage on the front cover of all the fucking newspapers for a week. How dare they make me get into a plane with plebs and the hoi polloi and the commoners. Well, I'm not getting in a plane with them. I'm going to get my friends to pay for a private jet to take me everywhere. Rishi Sunak get around? Does he hang out with us lot? Winchester, Westminster's, was it Winchester? Winchester school he went to, wasn't it? Winchester's finest, prefect, head boy. Yeah. Does he slum it with the rest of us? Does he? On the Transpennine Express? The toilet's not working? Does he? He goes around on a fucking helicopter, making sure that the grid has been reordered so that he can have a heated pool in his town, in his manor in Richmond in Yorkshire. Yeah. They can sort out his energy grid, so he can have a nice heated pool because he's a billionaire, Can they sort ours out? Nah, fuck that. They can't sort it out for the rest of us. And if they try, the Tories will go, oh, I don't like seeing pylons. Oh, no, it's okay. This is for a rich twat. This is for a twatty rich twat who wants to have a heated pool. Oh, that's all right then. That's all right. We can have a new pylon. We can have a new substation. Yeah, build it out of shit and asbestos. I don't give a fuck. Nothing's too good for our Nigel. Nothing's too good for our Rishi. Nothing's too good for our Boris fucking Johnson. Nothing's too good for them. It's so pathetic. It's so fawning. It's so grotesque. Look at me, Nigel. I'm putting a flag up for you on this lamppost. Oh, I love you, Nigel. Look at me, Nigel. Look at me. Like the end of Being John Malkovich, where the little girl's like looking at her mum and another mum, and little fucking what's his name? John Cusack is trapped inside her brain, going, look away, look away, look away. Yeah, so they are. Disgusting. The deference of this country, the bootlicking of this country is just off the fucking charts. It's like the only way anyone can achieve sexual satisfaction is by licking the boots of the aristocracy. It's like, please, Nigel, tell us what to think. Tell us what ideas we should have. Tell us who to hate. And it's not even British people doing this shit. You've got these toxic billionaires from other countries like Elon Musk and Rupert Murdoch, don't even fucking live here, who get to control the minds of thousands, if not millions of people in this country. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And now we have these fucking slumlord billionaires with a B, making £1 billion. Going from zero, owning a couple of fucking caravans and a caravan park, to being one of the richest people in the country, if not the world, because this is one of the richest countries in the world. Imagine that. Imagine owning a fucking caravan park and then going, not through being like, a good person in any way, shape, or form, but by running slums for asylum seekers and taking money off the taxpayer. Taking money off the taxpayer. You know, Jesus Christ. Anyone who feels guilty about not paying back their student loan, don't. Just fucking don't, all right? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of the rich just getting so absurdly rich off our money. You know, the water companies and their fucking dividends for the little fucking shareholders. Fuck them. No, we can't nationalise it because then no. You just say you fucking failed, mate. We're going to bankrupt you motherfuckers, sue them into oblivion, change the law to say that if you put any shit, if you shit into a river, you are fined £1 million per shit. There you go. So if you're walking, through the fens, in Wales or something, and you decide to take a shit in the river and someone sees you, that's £1 million fine, that is. Now, scale that up. Scale that up to the water companies. Yeah, they'll go bust. And do you know what? Those fucking investors can fuck off. I'm sorry, but your investment might go up or down. That's it. You gambled and you lost. All right? You gambled on our water system being in focus, being kept the same way forever, where people just take money from people who can't afford it in order to pay shareholders and to not clean things up. Like, I don't know, our rivers and our beaches and all our water courses. It's now full of shit. Because the profit is everything. The profit is absolutely everything, and goes to the core of the story today. The profit is everything. Di, thank you very much. You're admirably. I can't even fucking speak anymore. You're admirably angry today. Welcome back. Here's a few quid. Thank you, Di. And I don't know why I couldn't say that word this morning, but sometimes you just can't get the word out. But there you go. Thank you very much for the first super chat of the day. Hopefully it won't be the last. But yes, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off that all this money that could have been used to rebuild the schools that are falling down, or to fill the potholes, or to pay NHS nurses and doctors the amount they should be paid, is instead given to some bloke to run a slum fucking hostel. To run a slum hostel. Like, if that had been a hostel, right? And I've stayed at a lot of hostels, stayed at a lot of backpackers, stayed at a backpackers quite recently, actually, in Costa Rica. It was fine. But it only cost me $10. Didn't cost $1 billion. You know how much these are charging per refugee? Like, hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Thousands of pounds a week. Cheaper to put them up in the fucking Ritz. And this isn't an outlier, this whole sordid affair with these grotty hotels and these substandard meals that don't offer enough nutrition for children who are eating them, right? This is Tory's privatized compassion. Public money went straight into the hands of a few politically connected firms. Sound familiar? It should. It's the same revolving door network as the PPE scandal. Offshore subsidiaries, mysterious consulting companies like Bespoke Strategy Solutions Limited, registered in Dubai that no one can find, which get paid all these dividends from the taxpayer money that came into Clearsprings, Clearsprings Ready Homes. What's the shit name? Government oversight? Fucking none. Fucking oversight? Fuck that. What is oversight? Who needs oversight when there's money to be made out of the taxpayer? And this is what the Tories did. They stole, they embezzled, they fucking looted. They looted this country for all it's fucking worth. The dirty bastards. They sold off the family fucking silver to their mates. And then they continued to pay their mates out of our fucking money. Highest taxed people in the fucking world. With fuck all to show for it. Fuck all to show for it. Got fucking shit fucking railways. We've got shit in our rivers. We've got shit schools that are fucking falling down. We've got an NHS waiting list that goes into the fucking millions. Why? Because the money that we pay in our taxes is not going to the right places. It's going to for 14 years, it went to the friends of the Tory party. As simple as that. Because some little grubby little fuckers needed to make more money. And you know what? After you make your first 10 million, what difference does it make? Can you eat more than one meal at dinner time? You know, can you attend one restaurant? Can you attend more than one operatic performance per night? No, you fucking can't. I mean, yeah, it might be nice having 7 different fucking private jets, one for each day of the week, one for each colour of the rainbow. I'm sure that, that'd be a nice thing to have. But what's the fucking point? You can't fly all 7 of them at the same fucking time, you dickhead. What difference? You can't watch more than one television at a time. Like, seriously, how big does your TV have to be? You can get projectors now for about fucking 19.99 at Argos. That projector as big as you fucking want on a wall. It's like cinema size projectors for fucking pennies. What? You can't watch 17 films at once. Like, what can you do with that extra money except make more fucking money and steal the money from the rest of us? Because when it comes to the economy, I know we can print more money if we really need to, whatever, quantitative easing, whatever they're going to fucking call it. But the reality is, most of us are squeezed by how much we earn. We make choices every fucking day because of how much they earn. Me, for instance, I don't have kids. I don't have any kids of my own. And I'd fucking love to have kids. I'm great with kids. I'm great with my stepdaughters. Kids fucking love me. I'm funny, and I'm taking interest in what they want to talk about because usually I'm quite interested in it myself. Because I like K-pop demon hunters and Pokemon and kids, things like kids and dinosaurs. I take a passing interest in space, and yet I never been able to afford it because it's not. I don't want to live beyond my means, and I don't have the means to do it. I don't want to bring kids into the world if I don't feel like I can afford to do that. And now I've probably missed my opportunity to have kids. That's pretty devastating. And these feckless rich fuck pigs like the fucking sex yeti that is Boris Johnson, he can have as many kids as he likes. He can get fucking bit on the side pregnant twice and force her to have an abortion, which he did twice. That's fine. He can afford it. He's got loads of fucking money. And yet the rest of us have to make decisions in life. Where we live, who our neighbours are, what jobs we take, depending on our money. What holidays we can go on, where we can go, what we can do with our lives. We're constrained. They aren't. But the one thing that they want is a bigger yacht than somebody else. You've got a yacht. You can't use 2 at the same time. What the fuck is the problem? He's no big enough. The guy who owns NCP car parks has got a bigger yacht than me. I'm going to have to take a bigger one. Oh no, the guy who owns eBay has got a bigger yacht than me. I need a bigger one. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off, rich people. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking done with them. We don't need them. I'd love to see, some kind of video game called Eat the Rich or something where you go around and you literally do that. See if money pops out. Best rant ever. Another Guinness World Record, says Andrew Ray. Sorry, yeah. Full of righteous indignation this morning, Andrew. Listen, mate, thank you for the super chat. I'm just pissed. This is the first story that I read this morning on the BBC, and I was just like, you fucking gobshite. It's bad enough that you're embezzling this fucking money from us taxpayers, right? While we're living off shit, while our living standards have gone down, while we are the first generation in history to have worse living conditions than our parents. In history. That's not happened since the fucking dawn of time. Things have got incrementally better, even though there was a fucking plague. The people who survived had a better standard of living than the people who came before. It just always happened. The people who lived through the war, they had a better standard of living in the 1950s than their parents had in the 1930s, even though they were rebuilding from the rubble of World War II. They still had a better standard of living than their parents did overall. Slum clearances. People being able to live in, state housing. Wasn't that a great idea? Houses built by the state and then sold into the private sector. So billionaires can add another fucking billionaire, add another billion to their ill-gotten gains. And they don't get much more ill-gotten than this Graham King motherfucker who has put people in slum accommodation and profited to the tune of over £1 billion, my friends. £1 billion with a B. He is now a fucking billionaire because he put people in substandard accommodation and took money from the government over the odds. And he's going to fucking walk free. Nothing's going to happen to him. He'll probably sue me for saying this, for repeating what's in the fucking BBC article, where they've got to be very careful to say the right things because these are litigious little cunts they are. Sorry, I'm going to demonetize things because, fuck it. I hate them. It's time for them to go. I'm sorry, my friends. They've got to go. The rich people are not your friends. They are just fucking scum. There is no moral fucking billionaire on this fucking planet, I tell you. Di, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Found out in the last few minutes I'm going to be a granddad. Way! Thank you. Awesome. That is, what do you mean, thank you? Thank you for the super chat. But well done. Congratulations, mate. That is absolutely awesome news. Looking forward to teaching them how to roll a perfect joint to my son's dismay. A perfect rant today. So another few bob. Thank you very much to Di there, and you are awesome. And Liam Fairhurst says, thank you very much for the super chat, Liam. He says, there are over 200,000 millionaires in London alone. 200,000 millionaires in London alone. Fuck me. And they're all whinging. All they do is fucking whinge. Why do I have to pay VAT on school fees for my little horrible fucking crotch nuggets? Why do my sex fucking trophies have to pay? Fuck off, you horrible little shit. Couldn't give a toss. Why were you not whinging about the price of fucking going to private school doubling in the last fucking decade? Why weren't you whinging about that? So the private schools, these charities for fucking billionaires, mate. Who sets up a charity for billionaires? Private schools, fucking Tufton Street. Charities for billionaires. Oh, someone's got to look after the interests of those billionaires, having to stay in those slum hotels and being fed a fucking half a rotten boiled egg a week. And there is Chris C. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. There are 156 billionaires in the UK, down from 165. That's probably to do with people moving away, isn't it? Or carking it, I guess. Funds for the swear box. Thank you very much, Colin. That's very nice of you. Cheers. Look, there's a bigger crime here, right? Because the government oversight here was fucking non-existent. So the Home Office renewed contracts but refused to reveal profit thresholds. They cleared within contract terms, and as long as the money flowed, nobody cared. And there was this BBC article. It talks to asylum seekers saying, that the mattresses are dirty, the toilets are broken. It's hell. It's hell. Described it as hell. These people have left their country, their place of origin, because they need to get away, because otherwise they're going to fucking die. And they come here, and this is the way they're treated. We treat them worse than prisoners who have actually committed crimes. We treat them worse than we treat convicted paedophiles. At least fucking convicted paedophiles get 3 square meals a day. They get enough nutrition. We don't do that to asylum seekers. We treat asylum seekers worse than we treat convicted paedophiles. Welcome to Britain in 2025. And the profits that have been made are absolutely obscene. And charities are calling this neglect by design, because obviously they want to maximize the profit margins, and they do that by cutting everything down to the bone, giving people a round of bread, or some really, really cheap pasta with some tomato ketchup squeezed on top. I mean, the contracts for these asylum hotels, I don't know about all of them, but the one for this Spring Waters or whatever the fuck it's called, Graham King's company, there is a break clause next year, and God, if the Labour government don't use it, I'm probably done with them. I mean, I'm hanging on by a thread. I'm hanging on by a thread here. I just, from this mentality of it's better to be inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in. But this is what Tory Britain looks like. This is what refuck Britain will be on. This is, refuck Britain will be this on steroids. I'll come to that in a moment. A billionaire boiling his fucking, caviar over the steam of someone else's fucking kettle boiled fucking egg. They're literally turning human misery into a profit center. These asylum hotels weren't a failure. They were a business plan to make loads of money for cronies of the Tory party. Graham King, a man who made £183 million in dividends from his fucking hotels that he puts asylum seekers in, while mothers were rationing toilet paper for their kids in the hotels. And, the Tories don't waste money. Nothing goes to waste with the Tories. They launder it into private hands under the pretense of, we've got to do this. We've got to look after the asylum seekers. So what's the best way to do it? That's not what they think. They think, what's the best way to make some fucking grubby money out of it? It's the PPE scandal all over again, and people fall for it. Who are they angry with? Not the people who own the fucking hotels, but the people in the hotels. Because that's the power of the media. That is the power of social media. That is the power of the billionaires who control the means of communication. And we can bitch and moan as much as we like about the left not working together to make a better world and arguing about shit, which we do all the time, and then falling out. But here's the difference, right? The right wing fall out all the fucking time as well. Boris Johnson doesn't like Nigel Farage, etc. Right? They fall out over the pettiest shit. Have a look at that Rupert Lowe creep who's now running around going, it's retwat now or whatever, because the reclaim's been used and refuck has been, so like it's retwat now. He's got a new political party because he's fallen out. Now they fall out on the right just as much as we fall out on the left. The difference, the secret ingredient is crime and money. On the right, they commit the crimes. Oh my God, they commit the crimes. Think of that. Think of that cartoon from back when the credit crunch happened, and it was a bank robber, and he was in the bank, and he says, "Give us your money." And there's a bank manager walking out with piles of, bags full of loot, dollar signs on, and he's looking, and he's just like, amateur. Crime and money all just feeds the right. You think that these drug dealers are all voting for fucking Labour? I got news for you, mate. Once someone reaches a certain threshold of wealth, they switch like that, and they go to refuck. They go to the Tories. They go right wing because you're like, I've got this money. I don't want to give it up to anyone. It's mine. I want that. And then they get into this spiral of needing more money and more money and more money. They become addicted to it. And because we live in a capitalist system instead of a cooperative system, we allow this to happen, and we shouldn't. There should be a cap. There should be a fucking income, and that should include investment income. That should include capital gains. That should include any interest on your fucking wealth. Any income that you have, that you're bragging about, that you use to buy things, it needs to be taxed. It needs to be taxed, and we need to go up to 95% again, like it used to. I'll tell you how it needs to be. 1 for you and 19 for me, the tax man. Yeah, because I'm the tax man. Fuck you. If you've got that much money, you don't need that much money. We're only going to tax you over a certain threshold. So do you know what? Keep your first 10 million, lad. All right, that's all right. You can use that. You can use that for your day-to-day costs of going to fucking doing your shopping, which costs £79 a week, and paying your lecky bill, you can use that. You can use that 10 million to do that. After that, we're going to tax you to the fucking hilt. Motherfucker. Additional fun to the swear box. Enjoying rant, says Veg Pie. Oh, well, I'm enjoying you being here, Veg Pie, so thank you very much. That goes two ways. And Chris C says, thank you very much, Chris C, for the £5 super chat. This also happened at the Armed Forces accommodation. Yes, handed to private firms and run into the ground, substandard accommodation being provided. Yep, and the prisons. I talked about prisoners getting better fucking, getting better nutrition, but actually, it depends what prison they're in. If they're in a prison that's run by a private company, there's a good chance they're getting fuck all. And that private company is just making a fuckload of money. And then the government, backhanders and everything, have policies saying you need to put more people in jail for petty offences that they shouldn't go to jail for, offences that they could be rehabilitated. But I tell you what, put them in jail so you can make loads of money and we can get a bit of a backhander from that. And then we'll make sure that they don't, get any qualifications in jail and they'll get out with a criminal record. So obviously they're going to reoffend and then they go back in jail. We make more fucking money. Is this rocket science? Is this beyond the fucking wit of these morons who vote for these motherfuckers? Like, do they not get it? Because it doesn't seem too complex to me. It's like you vote for these people who promise the fucking earth, and then when they get in touch, and when they get into power, all they want to do is feather their own nests. And let's talk about refuck down in Kent, right? So Reform UK promised to slash waste and taxes, right? So they're going to slash waste and they're going to cut taxes, right? Actually, down in old sunny Kent, Garden of England, they're raising council tax by 5%. The Refuck Council is raising council tax by 5%, which is the legal maximum they're allowed to. Kent County Council, run by Refuck, is saying services are already down to the bare bones. No? Well, what happened to Doge? What? Cabinet member Diane Morton admits we just want more money. So much for Nigel Farage's fantasy of running governments efficiently. This is the canary in the coal mine, people. This is what I said when they won these local councils, like here in Durham. I said, have a look how they fucking can't do anything. Because they can't. They're fucking useless. The leader of the council here in Durham County Council, right? Which I'm going to call it from now on. Andrew Husband, his last firm went under owing the taxman and his creditors £1 million. Like, how can you be that bad at business? Like, how can you be that bad that you cost people who believed in you £1 million? £1 million. That's more than I think I've earned in my entire life so far. And he just wrote it off and walked away and became leader of fucking Durham City Council. And it's dubious whether he would be allowed to run as an MP after declaring his company bankrupt. He can run as a councillor now. He can run a fucking council. He can run one of the biggest fucking county councils in the country. Well, in terms of size. In terms of acreage. Durham County is fucking huge, Jesus. So anyway, remember the Doge unit? Remember this? Remember named after Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency? Also the dog meme, haha, memes. Led by Zia Yusuf. Zia Useful Idiot. The Reform's head of policy. Guy who thinks that they're not going to throw him out when they get into power. Because, he's one of the good ones. Fucking idiot. What a fucking idiot. How fucked up and stupid do you need to be? How much of a fucking subservient, daft cunt do you need to be to get to that point in life and go, I'm going to hang out with all these white racists. They're going to have my best interests at heart. Zia, you're not white, lad. Sorry to tell you this. This is like in fucking See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Hear No Evil, See No Evil. Where he discovers, the blind guy discovers he's black. I'm black? What? Nobody told me. Wait till my mother finds out. Yeah. Zia, come here, dickhead, right? They're not your friends. Ben Habib, yeah? Come here, dickhead. Yeah, they're not your friends. Okay? They get into power, right? You're going to be marched into the camps with the rest of them. Tell you that now, mate. Tell you that for nothing. You fucking idiots. Propping up the fash. I mean, imagine propping up people who want you dead. Imagine propping up people who don't want you in the country, who would quite happily kill you if they knew that they could get away with it legally, and you're busy mates with them. Imagine your busy mate wanted to kill you. And you went around, arm around them, down the pub, going, oh, he's a great lad, this one. And all they're thinking is, I want you dead. I don't want you to exist anymore. I want a planet full of fucking white crackers, all fucking doing the Hitler Youth songs. Mate, you fucking dickhead. Anyway, he's in charge. He's in charge of the Department of Local Government Efficiency, DOLGE. It's supposed to be auditing, right? Local spending to find savings. This is after 14 years of Tories cutting local council services, local funding to the bone. Liverpool, 49% cut on central government funding since the Tories got in. 49% cut. And turns out they couldn't even access the local council's data. The council's data, you know, the bureaucratic paralysis, zero transparency, total fucking clown show. Which doesn't surprise me. This is refuck we're talking about. And now the Doge experiment is dead. Replaced by old-fashioned tax hikes. Yeah, we were going to make it more efficient. We did promise that. That's one of the reasons we got elected, that and racism. Yeah, we're going to actually, fuck you. No, really, fuck you. Fuck you. That's what they said. We're gonna put the council tax up for you, not for Buckingham Palace. They only pay £2,000 a year. You know, they got away with it. Liam, thank you very much for the super chat. £2 super chat. That's very kind of you. Petition to make Ginger our new safe country. It's not big enough, mate. I think you can fit about 15 people in a hippie commune on there quite easily. Get some cheap solar panels from the solar place in Changanola City on the mainland. Get some solar panels, get some water tanks. You know, we get so much water there. You're not going to run out of water. We got 3 meters of rainfall a year. 3,000 millimeters of rainfall a year. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you got to be all right, mate. But yeah, we have 15 people, I think, could live there. But there's insects, you know, you get eaten alive. People go, oh, it looks wonderful from the photos. And I'm like, yeah, I love living there. I don't get fucking bitten. People turn up and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting eaten alive. And I'm like, well, they like you. That's one of the reasons I liked having people over there, because I did get bitten a bit. But whenever there was someone else staying on the island with me, you know, couch surfing, staying over. For the insects, the midgies would go for them instead, and I would just be sitting there going, sorry. Anyway, yeah, but it looks nice on Instagram. That's the main thing. So yeah, rainwater collection, solar panels. Let's get rid of the insects. It's okay. We can do it in a environmentally friendly way. We don't have to use a Rebo. We can use what's it called? We can use not chemicals. Pheromones, that's it. Spray their nests with pheromones, and they tend to piss the fuck off. And it doesn't kill the fishes. Doesn't kill the fish. Okay, so anyway, Doge. Local government efficiency. Local government efficiency. We've made it more efficient to collect your taxes. Reform councils in Durham, West Northamptonshire, and Staffordshire are all signalling tax hikes too. Every reform-run council is hitting the same wall. Rising demand for social care and education, cuts from central government funding, and nothing left to cut, because they've been cutting it for the last 14 years because of the Tory cuts of central funding and the not being able to put the council tax up as much as they would like. Also, the fact that council taxes are based on a fucking drive-by shooting with the camera, taking pictures in 1991 or 1990, it might have been. You know, in the fallout from the poll tax disaster, they hurriedly decided to make these 5 bands of how much a house was worth, and they set the council tax according to these bands, which are just bullshit, and they're different in every part of the country, and it all depends on what they thought the house was worth back in 1990, and like whatever a house was worth in 1990, I guarantee it's not worth that now. It's not worth that now. Well, there you go. You know. And here we go. You know, there's the only thing that's left to cut are services that people rely on to stay alive, pretty much. You know, And, we thought councils faced the same brutal arithmetic as all other councils. The efficiency savings were a fantasy from the get-go, and the gutting the family hubs and the SEN support doesn't save money. It just costs more money down the line. If you stop funding special educational needs and kids aren't given the support they need, there is a very good chance they will turn to criminality in later life. And I'm not saying that like everyone who needs, has special educational needs. I think back in school, if I had been diagnosed with ADHD, I would have been seen as someone who needed, reasonable adjustments, let's say. But there are other routes to go down, I guess, in life, and some people need more support than others. It's as simple as that. You take that support away, and you're just causing more trouble down the line. Even if they don't, even if criminality isn't something that features, untreated and unhelped, problems, just go on to cause more problems down the line. Always, a stitch in time saves nine. It's an old expression, but it's fucking true. It's fucking true. But yeah, Doge Revolution, it was never about helping people. It was just performative populism. It was pretending to be, outsiders. It's this whole thing of this elite motherfuckers, like Nigel Farage and Richard Tice, these millionaires who went to private school, and they all want to tell you that they're anti-elite. They're going to stand up against the elite. Dominic Cummings living in a castle with his parents, with their 14 fucking acre estate just outside the city of Durham here, the 97 acre fucking it's huge. It's fucking huge. The estate they've got, it's insane, and it's right by the city centre. It's like 10 minutes walk from the city centre. I'm not kidding. Like he liked to make out Dominic Cummings when he was coming up here in his fucking car that he was trying to get into the countryside, away from COVID. When he had COVID, he brought it up here, the dirty, plague-ridden fucking rat man. He came up and he said, "Oh, getting away, getting away from the elites." That's what he said. Getting away from the elites, getting away from the elite London. Can you believe that? You fucking yeah. I mean, this is the guy who went to a school that's like £15,000 a fucking term. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, getting away from the plebs. I mean the elites. I mean the plebs. Fucking what and he lives in a fucking castle. And he, this is the guy who's the chief advisor to fucking Boris Johnson. And he's like, oh, the elite's not letting me do what I want. This is the guy who came up with the new education system, which has gone 180-degree turn away from coursework and towards exams. So now kids are sitting, 1 hour, 45-minute exams, 2 of them for English, about fucking Shakespeare. Because that's going to help them in later life, innit? And, what if they don't have a good day? What if they don't get enough sleep the night before? What if their dad dies? What if they come on their period? What if they are ill that day? What if they have anemic dysentery that day? Hey? What if they get a migraine that day? Doesn't fucking matter. The two rich pricks, the privately educated rich pricks, Michael Gove and Dominic Cummings, who rewrote the education system and turned the GCSEs into this nonsense where it's a 1 to 9 fucking number rather than, ABC, because they want to have their stamp on it. Like these bastards who build these disgusting fucking eyesores that go up into the fucking sky so every motherfucker has to look at them. These arrogant public school boys who are like, everyone needs to look at me. I need to make my stamp on the world. Yeah, can you make it a good stamp? Can you make it something nice? Can you make it something good? No, we're going to go to exams. And on that day, how you are feeling on that day, the state of your brain on that day is going to dictate the rest of your motherfucking life. Because if you fuck up, then that's going to fuck up what A-levels you can take. That will fuck up what university you can go to. That's going to fuck up your career path. One day. They don't care because Dominic Cummings and Michael Gove, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, Aaron Banks, Andy Wigmore, Isabel Oakeshit, all of those fucking tediously rich motherfuckers, Lawrence fucking Fox, Graham Linehan, all went to private school. You go on the news each day and you find some fucking cunt. You find someone who's been a fucking cunt in the public eye and look whether they went to private school. 99 times out of 100, they fucking did. And this isn't to say that everyone who goes to private school or went to private school is a clanging bastard. But there are a larger proportion, let's say, of people who do horrible shit who end up in the public eye because they get power, because they've got money, because they come from money, and they went to private school. And there's Dominic Cummings going, I'm going to get away from the elites. And Nigel Farage saying, all the elites are causing this, the woke elite, the wokerati. They go, Kemi Badenoch also went to private school. Just think about this for a moment. The leader of the Tories, Labour, the Greens, the Lib Dems, and Refuck all went to private school. And whereas, I don't want to knock Zach Balansky. I think he's a good lad. At the same time, it is immensely frustrating that the rest of us don't seem to be able to get a word in. Our stories never get told. Only 8% of people working in film and TV, 8% have a working class background. 8%. And they're running around. They're running around going, "Oh, vote for me. Vote for me. I'm with you. I'm with the little guy. I'm with you. I'm just one of you." The axe that convinced the forest to put the axe in charge because the axe convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them. And refuck is just it's conservative. It's conservative plus. It's the same rhetoric, the same lies, the same lack of shame, and the same fucking incompetence. These people are incompetent. They couldn't run a fucking bath. When you meet someone and you are just like, how are you so shit at everything? How have you got to this age not being able to do the basics in life? How? And it's usually because they've got money. They've got money, so they've always been able to get someone else to do it. People who don't know how to clean their own homes because they've always had a cleaner. People who don't know how to mop a floor. People who don't know how to cook a fucking meal. Not because they grew up in an impoverished sink estate in North Liverpool. No. They can usually cook stuff, because they have to. These are people who have had people to do that kind of thing for them. These people can't make a fucking cup of tea, and you expect them to run a country? They're functionally useless. They are beyond incompetent. And yet, they are imbibed with this fucking arrogance that comes from, their posh privileged education, where they are told, you boys, you are the cream of the crop. You are the greatest humans that ever lived. And they believe it. And they carry that arrogance through into their adult life. And people fall for it. Because the people who actually know what's going on, and actually experts in stuff, are full of self-doubt. And, thinking about themselves, imposter syndrome. I suffer from imposter syndrome. I don't believe that honestly, I do not believe that I did I went to every country in the world without flying. I don't believe I did it. When I see footage of myself from my TV show that I shot while I was doing it, I feel like I'm watching someone else. I have this I suppose it is a bit of an out-of-body experience seeing yourself on camera, but it feels like that's another person. That wasn't me. Sounds like me, looks like me, sure. But that's imposter syndrome. And yet, these useless, arrogant motherfuckers running around, just running everything into the ground. Think about all the companies that have gone under because the fucking CEO was a prick. Because the CEO didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And where do the CEOs come from? More often than not, private education. These schools are not teaching they're not sending our best. They don't have to follow the national curriculum. The teachers do not need to be qualified or vetted to make sure they're not fucking paedophiles. What the fuck? They don't pay any tax. I mean, they do have to pay VAT, they whinge about it. They still don't have to pay any capital gains. Motherfuckers. We're a charity. Do you know how many kids get a full bursary Do you know how many kids get a full bursary in these schools overall? 1%. 1 in every 100 kids gets a full bursary. That means that their parents are on a low income, right? All the rest of them are middle-class parents who probably could afford the 30 grand a term or whatever it is. But, they only give 20 grand. And when we, the taxpayer, pays the extra 10 grand for their kid, little fucking Guinevere, little Tarquin, to go to their posh school and learn how to be the world's biggest cunt. What the fuck system are we running here? Can we just take a step back for 1 minute? For just 1 minute and say, this is an absolute nonsense. And it absolutely is a fucking nonsense. And I'm going to come on to my third story, because I do have a secret third story, which is to do with the Greens, actually, which I'm going to come to in a moment. But first, I'm going to say thank you to Paula Thomas. Thank you very much for the £20 super chat. The damage done to the education system by Thatcher Major Blair. Yes, I do mean that. Part of the same process. And the Gove-pocalypse, as far as I can see, is being carried on by this government. It's tragic. Yeah. It's painful. It is absolutely painful. Lee says, I believe Polanski went to Stockport Grammar for only a short time because he hated it. Yeah. But it was nice to have the option, wasn't it? Let's not forget Gavin Williamson as well. He inflicted so much damage on school children during the COVID lockdowns. Yeah. Sent them back to school for a day. Hey, the kids in the kids in Harrow and Eton and Winchester and Westminster and Ampleforth and Bedales, they didn't go back to school for a day. But in the January of 2021, the Education Secretary sent all of the state school kids, the 93% of kids who go to state school, sent them all to school for 1 day. And then promptly sent them home the next day. Hey, go get some COVID, come home and give it to your parents. Give it to your grandparents. Give it to your ailing grandmother. Oh no, she's dead. Oh well, what a shame. Oopsies. Gavin fucking Williamson. Jesus Christ. There are names. They should be in fucking jail for what they did. They should be in jail for the rest of their miserable, God-forsaken lives. And do you know what should line the walls of the jail cell they're put in? The faces of their victims. The thousands that they killed through their own fucking disgusting, grotesque fecklessness and incompetence. Matt Hancock, he went to private school, didn't he? Didn't he go to private? Yeah, he went to private school. How the fuck do you think he got to a position of that kind of power? We had the worst possible people in charge of this country at the worst possible time during a pandemic. We had a bunch of spivs and chancers and grifters and private school scum running our country. And what happened? 230,000 people fucking died. Never forget, never forgive. Private school teachers do have to undergo an enhanced DBS check as they are working in a regulated sector, says Chris C. Yeah, but if they haven't been caught yet, just saying, they don't have to have, well, up until very recently, because Labour's just changed the law, but they didn't have to have Ofsted inspections. They didn't have to have Ofsted inspections. You didn't have to have a PGCE to teach, and they could have just literally got a guy off the street who was like being weird at the bus stop, rubbing his legs, looking at the schoolgirls, and they could have given him the job. As long as he's not actually convicted of anything. And as, 99% of rapists get off in this country. They don't actually serve any jail time for their crimes. Yeah. Safeguarding is a huge issue in education or just in any kind of, dealings with children. And we see the church, the Scout movement, and these private schools fail time and time again. And they get away with it in a way that a private company, if it was doing anything else, if it was a fast food restaurant where they kept on employing paedophiles that abuse children, rapes children, I don't think they'll get away with it, that particular branch of McDonald's does have a problem with children being raped. But I'll tell you what, I'll send my kids there and they can stay the night. with the rapey clown. Because I'm sure they've got rid of the one who was really bad, And I know they didn't get rid of the people who covered for the paedophile at that particular school. I mean, they're still there, but I'm sure it's a completely different system now. I'm sure lessons have been learned. I'm sure lessons have been learned. I'm sure of it. Here, have my children wrapped up in a bow. Do with them as you wish. I'm off to go skiing. Haha. I don't know why people are complaining about being parents and how much it costs. I mean, I just fucking send my kids away to private school and boarding school, and I don't have to worry about them. And the rest of the time, nanny looks after them. I hope that doesn't damage them in the future. I hope the lack of a father's or a mother's love doesn't come back and bite us on the arse when these sociopaths get into fucking positions of power. All they wanted was a hug. I mean, look at fucking Elon Musk. Not too long because he's fucking minging, but he's fucked up. He's fucked up because his dad's fucked up. His dad married Elon Musk's sister. He's had two children with Elon Musk's sister, a stepdaughter that he adopted when she was 3 years old. Someone should ask him, Elon Musk, next time he's being interviewed on Fox News or something. So, at what age did you start fancying your own stepdaughter? Was it when she was 3? Was it when she was 5? Was it when she was 10? Which age were you like, oh yeah, she's hot. I'd like to, impregnate her. How old was she? No one ever asks him that. But the fact that Elon Musk's stepmom is also his stepsister is a bit fucked up as far as I'm concerned. And it just speaks volumes about the fact that there is this innate connection between the inbred yokels of any given place and the inbred aristocrats. I think they feel some affinity, some kind of kinship, that they, fuck each other's relatives, and it's fuck their own relatives, I suppose. It's like, well, it's what we want to do. Let's set up Shelbyville and marry our sisters. It's fucked. It's absolutely fucked. It's disgusting. It's beyond disgusting. Di, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. You're so informed today and costing me a small fortune. Let's demonetize this properly. They're all a bunch of cunts. Yeah. Absolutely, Di, they fucking are. They fucking are. Oh my god! That this is Doge. They're killing. They're cutting net zero as well. Just before I move on to another topic, they're cutting net zero, right? I shared a thing this morning on Facebook about Spain. Spain has successfully decoupled their energy bills from gas, right? So the majority of their energy is being made by renewable power. And you know what? They're still having teething problems. It's not perfect yet. They still need to readjust the grid and everything, and they need more battery backups for when there's no wind and when it's not sunny. Yeah, okay. But energy bills in Spain are one of the lowest in Europe. In Europe. I don't know why I did a square for that. It's more squiggly. In Europe. There's Italy down there. In Europe. Because they went for efficiency. Real efficiency. Which comes from going towards net zero. So you're not completely reliant on the international cost of fossil fuels. You are not completely reliant on what some foreign dictator in some tin pot dictatorship on the other side of the planet is plotting to invade their neighbor. They invade the neighbor, then that price of going to the shops is going to go up, isn't it? Dropping the kids off at school, that's going to cost you more. Your holidays are going to cost more. It's going to cost more to heat your house now. Why? Well, because this fucking dictator, whose name you can't even pronounce, from a country you never heard of, invaded the people next to him. And now he's slaughtering people and using rape as a weapon of war. And your prices go up as a result. What a great system! Yeah, but Doge get in, reform, and they say, Doge, they say, part of this is we're going to stop this net zero nonsense. Net zero saves us money. Net zero saves us money. The closer we get to energy self-sufficiency on these islands, the cheaper our bills are going to be. The more efficient our energy supply will be. I.e., Once those fucking things are put up, it doesn't cost that much more in day-to-day running, okay? Maintenance costs. You don't have to ship the power from halfway around the world after digging it out from under the sea over to this country. You don't have to refine it. You don't have to try to put it in trucks to drive it to the petrol stations. You just put it in the wires and then it transmits itself at the speed of light into your car or into your fucking house to put the fucking lights on. Oh my God. Efficiency. They talk about efficiency and they want to remain wedded to the least efficient way of delivering power that we know of. Digging up some fucking dinosaur bones and, burning them. Burn the dinosaur. But I know, one angry pagan, I know they're not dinosaur bones. Dinosaurs weren't around in the Carboniferous period. Right. Anyway, so, these fucking clowns at Refuck in these local councils, including the one here, right? They're cutting net zero programs. They're killing family services. They're sacking staff. And they're still putting up taxes to the maximum that they can put it up to. I'm sorry, but what? WTF? So, at the Green Conference at the weekend, there was a motion put forward, which I get quite emotional about motions. Anyway, so I'm feeling all the emotions about this motion because the motion was this: abolish landlords. Yes. And as friends of this channel will know, I have a particular, hatred of landlords. I think they are fucking scum. And there's going to be some landlords watching this going, hey, Graham, that's me. I'm a landlord. Don't be mean. And I'm like, well, fuck off. I'm sorry. But, seriously, it's not a good way to make money. It really isn't. And I know there are a few good landlords out there. Maybe. Perhaps. Presumably. I mean, theoretically, it's possible. But the vast majority of landlords are using other people's labour to pay for their second home. Okay? So there's no way out of that. You can't really justify it unless, I don't know, there might be some extenuating circumstances where you end up with a house and you're trying to sell it and you were given it by your parents who carked it or whatever the fuck happened, and you got to put people in there for a little bit and you only charge them a little bit to stay in the house. But here's the thing, right? Anyone living in your house is looking after your house. That's what they're doing. They're going in every day, making sure there are no squatters in there. If you didn't have people in your house, you would have to board up the windows with metal. Board up metal boards? I suppose you can have metal boards. Sheet. You'll have to sheet up the windows with metal. You will have to disconnect the gas, disconnect the electricity. If there is a damp problem, you will never ever find out about it unless you visit the house every day, which is going to cost you money in fuel to get to and from your second house. You will have to go there every single day and make sure that, there isn't a problem. The pilot light has gone out, or there's not a gas leak, or, someone to go there and open the fucking windows each day to let the air circulate. That sort of thing. That's what your tenants are doing. They're looking after your property. They're making sure it doesn't burn down. They're making sure there are no squatters. They're making sure that everything doesn't get robbed. All the kitchen appliances don't get stolen, like the kitchen sink. They're making sure that doesn't happen because they're living in the house. They're staying in there overnight and making sure no one breaks in the middle of the night and robs all your stuff. Your stuff, not theirs. Your stuff. That if you put your stuff into storage, you have to fucking pay for it. Because it's protected. There's someone sitting outside making sure that no one goes in and robs all your stuff. And you have to pay for storage. There's storage in your own house when you got someone else living there that you're fucking sponging money off. Hey, no, it's sorted. And this line yesterday, they were talking about on James O'Brien where, they're saying, are you saving up for your own house? And it's like, no, I can't afford to save up for my own house. but I'm paying for someone else's. I'm paying for someone's second house. I'm paying their fucking mortgage. Fuck that. We need to take a step back. And I'm with the Greens on this. Fuck them. I'm sorry, but fuck them. So this is the plan that they've got, right? The Greens. They want to make it so when you are renting a property, if the landlord wants to sell the property, they have to give their tenants first dibs. And they have to knock off the price of the rent that has been paid up to that point. Oh, yes, please. And then the second refusal goes to the local council. We have to abolish landlords. It is a bad system. It is a really, really bad system. And it is making this country so unfair and destroying any chance of bridging the gap between rich and poor. And there's two things that happened that caused this shit to happen. One of which is buy-to-let mortgages. They were not allowed before the mid-90s. The Tories allowed them. And once that happened, it fucked everything. Because it meant that people could get a mortgage on a second house that they didn't need and put someone else in there to pay that mortgage for them. To pay that mortgage. And yet, once the mortgage is paid off, they own a fucking house. You know, what the fuck? What a mad... Can someone explain to me how this is a moral or just system? How this is in any way fair? It's not. It's simply not. I pay Ishmael to live on my island in Panama because I know that if he's not there, in a week's time, there won't be any solar panels. There won't be any toilet. There won't be any kitchen sink or fridge or gas cooker. There won't be any fucking boards on the floor because it's happened to me before. I left it for... I didn't know that the person who was supposed to be looking after the place had left. And it was a couple of months, a derelict, I guess. And people came, locals came, and they took it. They took everything. And because there was no one there to stop them, it's not like the island has a fucking alarm on it or something, or a hotline to the police station if people tell them. People can turn up at the island. People often do. I was out there on the boat docks singing along to Sabrina Carpenter's new album, and some bloke turned up in a little fucking dugout canoe. I thought I was alone. I thought it was just me, but no. He got to hear me sing absolutely out of tune to Sabrina Carpenter. Local guy asking where Ishmael was. But I think that's the way it should be. I think that if someone is staying in your property, you should fucking pay them because they're looking after your property. That's it. Change the way we think. The idea that Ishmael should pay me to live on my island, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. That's just mad. And he wouldn't put up with that either. He wouldn't fucking pay me. What the fuck, man? I'm not paying to stay here. Get bitten by insects. I'm going off to my own actual property that I actually fucking own. Over on the mainland. He doesn't have to be there. And this is if you want people staying in your place, you should fucking pay them for looking after your place. You should pay them. Meanwhile, while you do your proper work, while you do your proper job, that should pay off your second mortgage. You should be paying it off yourself, not getting people in to pay it off. And then there's another layer of this. There is another layer on top of that, right? I'm talking about private landlords and private tenants, right? What about if the tenant is on a state subsidy? What if they're getting housing benefit? Who's paying it then? Who's paying for that landlord's second fucking house? You are. And I am. Out of our taxes. Every time we buy some chewing gum and we pay VAT on it, we are contributing in a small way to some fucker who's already got a house but wants another one, doesn't want to have to pay for it, and is getting other people to pay for it. I'm sorry, in any other walk of life, you would call that a scam. How is it not a scam? How is it not a scam? You pay for my second house, and I get a house out of it, and you get fuck all. In fact, most landlords don't even look after their tenants very well. I know, I've been there, I've heard such horror stories. I've experienced myself living in a flat that was under, I got housing benefit at the time because I was on a low income, and they did fuck all. It was a cold water flat, right? We had no central heating. We had Victorian sash windows that had like inch gaps in them that we had to fill with towels to stop the fucking wind coming in the winter. We had a fucking Cala gas heater in the bedroom. It's amazing we survived and didn't die of carbon monoxide poisoning. And yet, you know, landlords, it's fine. You know, they made money out of me. They made money out of the taxpayer. Paid, you know, some money each week towards my rent. And they went on and bought more properties, more slums for people to live in. So fuck them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know there's going to be at least one person watching this going, but I'm a landlord, Graham, and I'm really good to my tenants. And yeah, I'm sure you are. But come on. The system, we've got to rip this system down. It is a disgusting system. It is a fucked system. It is a scam. It is an absolute scam. It is the landlord scam. If you've got money, you can make money. If you haven't got money, you're paying money. This isn't even fucking Vime's boots, because at least he got fucking boots for 6 months of the year. That kind of worked. You get nothing at the end of tenancy, of renting. You can give another human being £50,000 towards their mortgage on their second home, and you leave with nothing. In fact, they can chuck you out for no reason. Thank you very much for your 50 grand that you've given me over the years. Now, fuck off. You leave with nothing. I say good day to you, sir. That's the system. And it's fucked. And the reason we don't think of it as fucked is because we see it as normal, because it happens every fucking day. And we all know someone who's a landlord. But they're one of the good ones. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Anyway, let's see if anyone else is going to fight with me on this. Witchy Goff, if you ever need a new caretaker. Yeah, Witchy, if you're up for it. And Sarah saying, I'm scared because I know in a few months' time, if I can't get help from the council, I'm going to be homeless. Or have to try and find hundreds extra to pay another landlord. I haven't got spare hundreds. Yeah, Sarah, I'm sorry to hear that. And you are exactly what I'm talking about here. You are in a trap. And this is the reason why there's homeless people. Homeless people exist as a warning to the rest of us. This is what happens. Toe the line. Don't complain about being a tenant. Don't piss off your landlord. You know, doff your cap, tug your forelock when the posh man of the manor, when the Nigel Farage, when the Andy Wigmore, when the Boris Johnson, when the Michael Gove, and Jacob Rees-Mogg walks past, you know, tip your hat and tug your forelock, you know, definitely do that, you know. And this is what they do. And they want to say, look, this is what happens. Look at the homeless people. That'll be you if you don't book your ideas up. There doesn't need to be any homeless people. There weren't during COVID. We found homes for them all, funnily enough. It's almost as though they only exist because the government want them to exist, to say, toe the line, don't upset the apple cart, don't say things out of turn, don't get ideas above your station. But Sarah, I hope you get things sorted. Please go to the Citizens Advice Bureau. I'm sure you've already done this, and get some advice on how to deal with the situation that you're in, and what benefits and what support you can get from where you are. One Angry Pagan says, the wanted outcome, the potential problems with the idea. That's halfway through a concept. Diz is saying, Sarah, try looking around it, then need deposit guarantee schemes. Sorry. Deposit guarantee schemes you can assess. Just a thought. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Hey, listen, so the Greens seem to be coming around to my way of thinking on this. So universal basic income, abolish landlords, rejoin the EU. I've got some big ideas that could make a fuckload of money for the people of this country. Do we want to do that? Or do we want to continue making a fuckload of money for the privately educated spivs who run everything? Even though they've got money already, but they need more apparently. Need to watch 17 TVs at once. And Alice Durham is sending virtual hugs to Sarah. I'm for the banning of landlords so long as any negative effects are accounted for and minimized. Yeah, I mean, it would be a process. They couldn't have it like turn it around the next day and say, right, well, I'm afraid you're going to have to pay back your tenants the £67,000 they've paid over the last few years to you. I live in a housing cooperative. Great landlord. Oh, yes, I'm part of the co-op. So the landlord is me. If I bother to turn up for the AGM and take part, says Benny's. Yeah, Benny's, that's the way it should be. Not going to stop co-ops. It's the way it should be. Right, so we're going to go over to the papers now. Jilly Cooper passed away, unfortunately, yesterday at the age of 88. There she was in 1973. She's pretty hot, wasn't she? And then they accused me of being a traitor, says Nicola, whoever the fuck she is. Peace talks begin, but bombs still fall 2 years after October the 7th attacks. So this is Hope in Hell. This is about Gaza. There's some quite fetching abs on the front of the Times there for those who partake, and Dr. Mark saying I've never had a prostate test, which probably isn't a good thing to be saying to men. I'm sorry, but like you should get your prostate tested because like prostate cancer, it's a big killer. It's a big killer. Tories promise stop and search blitz in crime hotspots there. We've got PM's anger at student protests on October the 7th. Anniversary events praise Hamas martyrs and Starmer lambast Gaza rallies as un-British. You know what? I don't want to fall out here, but I'm kind of a bit on Starmer's side on this. I think you can have a day off. Just have a day off just today. Have a fucking day off. All right? I know the situation in Gaza is serious. I know it's terrible, but today's the anniversary of a terrorist atrocity in which over 1,000 people were brutally massacred, men, women, and children, and over 200 hostages, 251 hostages were taken. And anything that's seen as a celebration of that fact is incredibly distasteful. And I know that there are a lot of people who want to get their point across about Gaza, but at the same time, there are some people out there, and they're ruining it for everyone. They're ruining it for the people who are protesting for good reasons, and they're ruining it for the people of Gaza. They're doing nothing for the people of Gaza, nothing at all. And in fact, they're possibly making a bad situation worse by doing this. Just give it a rest for one fucking day, please, and then go back tomorrow. You know, go and like at the weekend, I have no problem with people protesting in support of the people of Gaza who have lived through hell for the last 2 years. I completely get that. But you don't need to be protesting in favor of Palestine action. You don't need to do that. That's not actually helping people in Gaza. It's just not. Like, I'm sorry, but you're going out and you are basically saying, you know, it's all about me. It's all about me. Come and arrest me. I wanna, and it's not helping. It's not helping. It's wasting police time. You're not changing anyone's mind on this in a way that you could do if you demonstrated effectively. And what this is going to do, if you protest today, right? I don't know if anyone watching this is going to protest, but if you protest today, you're going to turn more people against your cause than bring people to it. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. But, you know, I know my protestations will fall on deaf ears for many, I'm afraid. But there you go. Shy Britons drink to dance before we hit fearless 50s. Dancing is described as hidden language of the soul. For many Britons, it remains very well hidden indeed. Maybe nearly 1 in 3 of us admit we need alcohol to take to the dance floor. Well, you know, when I was a kid, we used to go to the crazy house, I couldn't afford to fucking drink, so I'd usually be sober, but I had to be moshing out. Like, I think there's a difference between moshing and dancing, like, because moshing was just jumping around and having fun. Whereas, like, dancing, yeah, I don't know. But then they'll play Pulp and the bad dance will come out. And there's a picture of Jilly Cooper there, who wrote Rivals and Riders and stuff. Queen's tribute. Oh, shit. Queen's tribute to legend Jilly, and then there's Vicky's charity victory. Crime excuses AI can solve Maddie mystery. Investigator tells start. Robot detectives may crack case. I think that's probably in pretty bad taste. I don't see how that's if it does, then that should be a fun news. That should be a news story, shouldn't it? But otherwise, AI. The friendly little robot, the helpful little robot that gets everything wrong. It just feels like an excuse to put a picture of Madeleine McCann on the front cover of the newspaper because they know that sells newspapers, which is a really grim way of making money, as far as I'm concerned. Mayhair here after be filled with impossibly handsome men and devoted dogs, said the Queen. Camilla about Jilly Cooper. There were certain, they were friends, and I think that a lot of the stuff that inspired Jilly Cooper came from, Camilla and the people in their circles. Because don't forget, Camilla was the king's bit on the side for many years while he was married. And Jilly Cooper's books are all about posh people who have affairs. Tory pledge blitz on scumbag store thieves. More career criminals will be jailed under Tory plans to force. Yeah, jailed. Are they going to be jailed in our jails that are full? Are they going to be jailed in our jails that are full? Fuck off. And there's Nicole Kidman, newly single Nicole's fashionable night out. Oh, she's newly single. Well, that's a point. Maybe I should get in there. And then you could call me daddy. Anyway, sorry. In-betweeners quote there. That could be taken out of context, but, anyway. All Human Existence is here. Gilbert and George at the Hayward Gallery there. Two of our favourite gays. And then we've got in Lewis Moody, Milton Neuron disease has cruelly singled out the bravest of men. This is Lewis Moody, the rugby player who has been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. And there's a terrifying report on the BBC yesterday about motor neuron disease and how much more likely you are to get it if you're an elite athlete. And it's 6 times, because there's at least 3 rugby players who've got motor neuron disease in the last few years and died from it, and that I know of. And I'm not a big rugby fan. Do you know what I mean? And they're 6 times more likely to get motor neuron disease, or Lou Gehrig's disease, as it's known in the States. Lou Gehrig was a basketball player. I think he was a basketball player. He was an athlete. He died at the age of 29 from this. And famously, this is what Stephen Hawking had. Although Stephen Hawking lived till in the late 70s, I think. He had a fair old life. But most people, they don't last a year. Once they get the diagnosis, it's really, really grim. And we need to have a lot more scientific instruction and delving into why this is the case. We could also look into why wrestlers die early. So many wrestlers die in their 50s. Pro wrestlers, we know it's theatre, we know it's performance, but they do a lot of damage to their bodies in what they do. And if we can make these sports safer so that these athletes are not being stricken down by this in their mid-40s. I think Lewis Moody's only 41. That's fucking no age. That's no age to be given a fucking death sentence. But then all medical research in the US has been stopped because the guy in charge, Nepo baby extraordinaire, Robert F. Jr. Kennedy, doesn't believe in disease, viruses, germ theory, the march of science, the evolution of doesn't believe in evolution. He just believes in quackery and bullshit. Anyway, so we've got Labour's new visa rules put NHS at risk, warns nurses. Fears that service could crumble without overseas staff. Again, making this is the Guardian, obviously, but making the point that we need refugees. Sorry, not refugees. We need immigrants. We need people coming from other countries here, and some of them can be refugees. That's fine. They're qualified. We get them to work. The fact that we don't allow them to work is fucking crazy. Jilly Cooper there, and I hear him screaming, "A hostage's brother waits in torment." This is 2 years after the October the 7th attacks, the anniversary which falls today. Tax authorities examine finances of Farage allies. So this is to do with Posh George, privately educated, of course, George Cottrell, who is Reform's biggest donor. And George has been referred to by Farage as being like a son to him. The tax authorities are having a look at his money. So there you go. Adverts. The ex-TV star, mother of 2, whose tearful post admitted that at 53 she felt lost, struck such a chord. I don't know who that is. And then the biggest phone gang smashed. Police hold kingpins who stole thousands of stolen mobiles to Hong Kong high-rise, exposed by Daily Mail. What? Why was it exposed by the Daily Mail? No, that. It was a sting that the police did. I think they allowed the phone to be stolen that they could track whether it was on or off, and they tracked it down to some storage place in near Heathrow, and they found thousands and thousands of phones there. What's it got to do with the fucking mail? What's it got to do with the mail? You know? Exposed by you didn't do anything, you pieces of shit. There you go, anyway. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Paula, that's very kind of you. MND is little understood disease. We probably know more about Jupiter than we do about our own brain. Yep, you're not wrong, Paula. Look, our brain is the most complex thing that we know of in the universe. In the universe. You're right, we know more about Jupiter. We know more about stars that are thousands of light years away than we do about the human brain. Because at least we know how they work. We need to know what they're composed of. The brain, so much of it is still a fucking mystery. Maybe that'll be something that AI can do, suss out how our brains work before the robot uprising takes place. Will Greenwood, I know how Moody will tackle MND. And then Neville's fallen into the same trap as Lineker. This is the Daily Telegraph here talking about this this post that Gary Neville, the ex-Manchester United defender, put up on his social media talking about these fucking flags that have appeared everywhere and pointing out it's not British, it's not patriotic, it's intimidating. It's intimidating people. It's making people feel unwelcome here, and essentially, these people are putting up flags to show how much they want to chortle Nigel Farage's balls. They want the rich, the elite, to come over and get their tummy a tickle and then shit on them or whatever the elites do to the working classes, and then fuck off back on his private jet and fly off to a lovely holiday somewhere with some beautiful women, because they deserve it. They work so hard, these spivs, the elites, the neo-aristocracy. They work so hard, they really do. Going to all these parties and drinking and plotting ways to steal money from this country. So I'm on Gary Neville's side on this. If you want to look at what he said, it's well worth reading or watching and listening to the full dialogue. But he makes a very good point about it being out of order. And this is Gary Neville. He's a rich motherfucker. He's not short of a few bob. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to say this, but he did. He's a good lad. MI5 kept in dark in China spy trial fiasco. This is going back to this story that the Telegraph is banging on about the Home Office, saying that they can't go ahead with this trial about Chinese spying because they can't legally call China a hostile state because of the knock-on effects that would have in terms of trade and sanctions and things like that. We're not supposed to trade with hostile states, are we now? So yeah, I think the government's over a bit of a barrel on this one, but and Champagne Before Noon, my distilled hit of pure Gilly Joy from Celia Walden. So we see where Celia went to school. Let's go. Celia Walden, British journalist. Oh. She's the wife of Piers Morgan. This woman who's written this column. She's the wife. Her father was a Tory MP, and she went to Westminster School, one of the most expensive of the private schools. All private schools are pretty elite, but some are more elite than others. And she went there. So, she deserves to have a column on the front of the Daily fucking Telegraph by dint of the fact she's fucking posh. I'll sack activist judges to tackle pro-migrant bias, says Jenrick. Activist judges. There you go. That's a term from America. There are no activist judges. You ever met a judge? They're the most conservative people in the fucking world. They follow the law. All right? It's not about being an activist. They're given a law by the fucking government, right? And they interpret that law, right, to the best of their ability. But don't give me this shit about judges all being these fucking woke lefties, because they're not. They're really fucking not. Jesus, activist judges. What a load of bollocks. They're more likely to be horrible to trans people than they are be good to fucking refugees. Jesus Christ. Nelson branded queer by museum. Lord Nelson has been branded queer by a leading museum. The naval hero was killed during his victory at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, and his last words before he died were, "Kiss me. Kiss me," to his second in command, who was male. Might have been a bit gay. I don't know. He was a sailor. Neighbours of killer raised fears to police. Hamas demands Israel free October the 7th ringleaders. And which isn't going to happen. AstraZeneca threatens to stop UK investments, which we've heard that story before. Yeah, it's not going to be great. But that's what happens when you decide to Brexit and pull out of EU-wide standards, regulations, and these pharmaceutical companies have to retest all of their products once it's on EU soil. This is Paula saying, campaign to get Neville and Lineker into the House of Lords. Ooh, that would be awesome. I'm up for that. Although I want to demolish the House of Lords, but yeah, okay. Well, not demolish it. It's a nice building. It's a nice part of the building. It's a nice part of the Palace of Westminster. I don't want to demolish Westminster. I just want to turn it into a museum of democracy. There you go. And next up, we've got the iPaper here. UK Gaza protests going ahead today on anniversary of the 7th October massacre, which I don't think they should go ahead. Sorry, I just don't think that is appropriate today. Time to call your lawyer. Police dismantle huge phone theft gang. Kingpin held in raid. Smuggled up to 40% of all handsets snatched in London to China. Unbelievable. And then over here we have the Financial Times. The three strikes. The latest French premier quits. So this is the latest of a string of PMs under Macron, who's president, and I think they're up to 93 of them in the last week. He was in charge for about less than a month, and he's quit. So good luck to the person who gets that job, that poison chalice. OpenAI targets 10% chunk of AMD through multi-billion-dollar chip deal. Oh my God. And then we've got Britain becomes Chinese electric car maker BYD's largest overseas market, which I can see why, because, they make decent cars and they don't cost that much. They're pretty good. Although the Chinese government might be tracking you everywhere you go, but I guess it's at a point now where does it matter anymore? Peter Thiel knows every time you go for a piss, so never mind. The Chinese authorities know when you go in the supermarket. Neville building a super tower in central Manchester. Yeah, because he's very rich. He can do that kind of thing. Freckle Puny, don't be too hard on Miss Walden. She took a bullet on behalf of all the other women out there. Well, he could be alone. Penis Morgan could be alone with his penis. That is an option. But, posh people tend to hang out with posh people, don't they? Her dad was a Tory MP and she went to Westminster School. So obviously she gets to opine on things. She gets to, make statements and talk about stuff. And, Meanwhile, in Kent. Anyway, so that's it for today. That's it. I just went for the papers for you. And pretty sure read and true. And he was saying something about kismet, an Arabic word for fate. Yeah, Graham, that's homophobia, mate. That's just Victorian homophobia. Saying he didn't say kiss me, Hardy. He said fate. He said kismet. No, he said kiss me on the lips with tongues because I'm about to die, and I want my dying wish is to give my second in command, Hardy, a big fuck off gay snog. And you know what? Great. Awesome. I'm glad that he got to do that before he died. And I'm sad that queer history is always pushed underground. No. Hadrian, who built Hadrian's Wall, he wasn't hugely gay. He didn't name an entire city after his husband. He founded a city in Egypt and he named it after his husband, who he wasn't technically married to, because you couldn't just marry a man back then. But, Hadrian, of Hadrian's Wall fame, was flamboyantly gay. and openly gay as well. He used to walk around hand in hand with his boyfriend. Alexander the Great, gay. Sorry, there's no two ways about it. He was gay. I may have been bisexual because at that time you were supposed to, have issue. But yeah, gay. But you couldn't. The classical scholars of the Victorian era who couldn't even hear the word homosexual, the love that dare not say its name, as Oscar Wilde once called it. They whitewashed. They pinkwashed. Is it pinkwashing? These characters from history who were clearly homosexual, and said, no, they weren't gay. They weren't gay. He was just, in his early 30s, wasn't married, hung out with a bunch of sailors and prostitutes. No way he was gay. Just saying. Anyway, so yeah. Read me next comment. Okay. You're going to send it? What? Pretty sure. Who knows? They're all out there and braver than ever before. Unfortunately, pretty sure it isn't true. And he was saying cosmic. No, I'm sorry, I can't find your next comments. That's referring to that. So, but no, he did not say cosmic. No way. No fucking way. Yes. Before I die, I'm just going to say this. Arabic word for fate. Fuck off. Who does that? It's like in The Simpsons when Sideshow Bob has got his tattoo that says "Die Bart Die," and he goes, "No, it is German. It says "Thee Bart Thee." He said, "Kiss me." Anyway, right. And on that big gay bombshell, we're gonna head off. I'm gonna head off into the night, or the overcast day, I guess, here in Durham. I'll be back tonight at 7:30 for Geoscope with Ollie Bowler Hatman, hopefully. And we'll be knocking off at 8:30. So everyone watching will then be shunted over to Max's live stream. So you can all watch Maximilian opine on the shit that's been going down in the news. I said I don't know if it's true. It may have been written by an anti-LGBT person. Yeah. Well, what you wrote was, I'm pretty sure I read it isn't true and that he was saying something about Kismet. Yeah. So that was pinkwashing. That was basically saying, nah, he wasn't queer when he totally was. I mean, come on, he was a sailor, for Christ's sake. Have you ever been alone on a ship for a month with only men? Have you? Just saying. Anyway, so gotta piss off now. Thank you very much for the chat. Thanks for the super chats. You've been very kind this morning. Thank you. And I know I was a bit ranty rant-faced this morning, but the refuck fuckers are fuck me off at the best of times. But these spivs making money from human misery, out of making people whose lives are difficult enough to start with, making them even more miserable, and they're making money not just out, not out the people themselves in this case, but out of the taxpayer, saying, I'm looking after these people. You know what they're like? They're like the slum, the people who run the workhouses in the Victorian era who fed Oliver Twist's fucking gruel. That's who they are. They took money from the government, and they took money from charities. They took money from decent people who gave money to, help out these orphans, and they made them fucking pick oakum and eat fucking gruel. Anyway, and then they sent them down the fucking mines and up the chimneys. Nice. See you at 7:30 tonight. Unless, don't see you, and then I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:00 for another Morning Brew. And until then, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.